Welcome back to The Whole Picture. Beautiful images of fall foliage depend heavily on careful attention to composition, whether in a landscape or a close-up. But what else can you do to really make an image come to life? Welcome back to The Whole Picture. I'm Erin Manning, and I'm teaching Angie Renfro how to take great pictures using basic rules of composition and color. Now, Angie, you did a great job with those wide shots and your close-ups. Well, let's try something a little bit different with the sunlight. Now, in your last shot, you were using a reflector, right? What would you do in this shot where we have leaves that are backlit by the sun?
Well, Erin, I was hoping you would help me with that.
Well, I will.
Okay.
This is one of those situations where you really want to see and evaluate the light that you're dealing with. So if you were to point your camera right into the sun and shoot, you'd get lens flare, and it would trick your camera's light meter into underexposing the scene, so the leaves would be darker, not as colorful as we want. So here's a trick. All you need to do is just kind of move behind the tree, let the tree block the sun. That way you can shoot into the backlit leaves and get great exposure and contrast. Now, it's late afternoon right now, which is an ideal time for shooting because it really enhances your color and your texture on things like tree bark or leaves. There are several things to keep in mind when working with natural lighting. Strong, direct sunlight is hard because it produces dark, well-defined shadows, bright highlights, and clearly defined forms. It makes strong colors more brilliant and washes out pale colors. Sunlight is diffused by smog and mist, and late or early in the day, when the particulate matter in the air is the highest, the light is at a low angle and soft and diffused. Weak, low-angle sunlight brings out vibrant, well-saturated colors. When taking a picture where there's extreme contrast between your subject in the foreground and the light behind them, you run the risk of an exposure that's too dark, especially if your camera is set to automatic. So take some manual control of your camera. Start by shutting off the auto flash. Usually this will be indicated with a diagonal line going through the camera's flash icon. Next, zoom in on your subject and eliminate the sky from the frame altogether. Then set the exposure by holding down the shutter button halfway. Now, while you're holding down that shutter button, zoom out a little bit and bring in a bit of the sky for contrast and drama. Here's another thing I like to do, and that's to use light to bring out the texture of a subject. Now, the appearance of texture can be increased by lighting your subject from the side. Find the direction of the sun and move yourself or reposition your subject so that the light hits it sideways. You can also increase the saturation of the colors in your image by letting the sun assist. Utilize front lighting. The colors in your picture will look richer if photographed with low-angled, late afternoon or early morning light directed at the front of your subject. This late afternoon light is perfect for shooting. They call it the golden hour. But if you feel like getting up early, the light at daybreak is really beautiful too.
I think I'll stick with golden hour for now.
I feel the same way. Well, go ahead and keep shooting. I think you're doing a really good job. And I'll meet you at my studio tomorrow. We'll work with these images on the computer, and I'll show you how to pump up the color and contrast even more.
Sounds great.
Okay, I'll see you there.
See ya.
With digital photography, you can always improve an image at home on the computer. Manipulating the brightness and contrast can maximize your picture's quality. Learn how next on The Whole Picture.